Hi Stampers, this is Trevis. Thank you for watching my YouTube video. And so today for our fun fold card, I'm going to make a frame pull card. And it's adorable. And there's a few cuts and scores that I will go through with you. It's not difficult, but it looks fun and it looks adorable when it's finished. So what I'd like to do is just talk a little bit about the card. I'm going to show you the finished card first, then I'm going to show you how to make it, and then you can decorate it yourself, okay, with whatever supplies you want. I made a Christmas card. Obviously, you can make it anything you want. So the stamp sets that I used are Christmas to Remember, and I also used Sweet Little Stockings, the framelit dies, and the stamp set. So these are from the mini catalog, and I also used real red cardstock and white cardstock. So I'm going to go through that with you real quick. Let me show you the finished card, and then you can decide if you might want to make one. Okay, so here's the finished card. Okay, and then the pull is this. Okay, so that is how it works. All right, so let's get started and I will show you how to make the card, what you need. Okay, so to make the card, you will need 4 pieces of cardstock. And you can use obviously white or any color you want. So the first 2 pieces that you'll need are 8 3/4 by 4 1/4. 8 3/4 by 4 1/4. So you will need 2 pieces of that. And then you will also need 2 pieces of 5 by 4 1/4. Okay. And then you will need 2 pieces of white cardstock, or for your frame, I made mine white. You will need those 4 1/2 by 4 1/4. Okay, now I cut the center out and made mine a frame by using some retired dies, so square collection dies, and I used not the largest square, but the next one down. Okay, so all of that being said, let's get started. On my card, I also used 2 different Celebration Designer Series papers, Peaceful Prints, and also I used the Bedazzling 6x6 pack. I only needed a small piece of this. I used 1 1/2 by 5 1/4, so I have a nice chunk left to make a card with, because it's 6x6. I did use our multi-purpose white glue, so that it seems to work the best to me to glue everything together. You can certainly use any adhesive that you like. Okay, so I'm going to use our paper trimmer, and the first thing I'm going to do is score these pieces of cardstock. So your first piece is the 8 3/4 by 4 1/4, and this is for the back of your card. So you're going to score this at 1 5/8. And so accuracy is pretty important. Okay, and I'll show you a little trick at the end, but 1 5/8, and then take it out, flip it around, and do 5 1/2. Okay, 5 1/2. So you're going to do the other piece exactly the same, 1 5/8. Take it out and flip it over by 5 1/2. Okay. Now these pieces are actually going to make the back of your card, and so it's going to make like a little fold like that. And then this piece is going to do the same thing. Okay, we're going to be gluing these together in a little bit. Okay, then on the other 2 pieces that were 5 and 4 1/4, you're going to score this at 2 3/4. And then if you have this paper trimmer, you can just scoot it over and do a 1/2 at the end. And that's what you're going to glue your frame onto. So if you don't have this paper trimmer, you can just put this in at a 1/2 inch and score it. Okay? And then we're going to do the same thing again. 2 3/4. Nothing like trying to confuse you, right? 2 3/4, and then a 1/2 inch on the end. You may have to smoosh this a little bit to make it work, but I think it's going to work. Okay, so that's all the scoring, cutting and scoring. I also cut a piece for the inside of my card. I used a white piece for the inside of my card, and that is 4 by 5 1/4. Okay, so you can add that later. You don't have to add that yet. So let's adhere these together. So what we want to do is we want to use adhesive, and we're going to adhere these. You don't want to use overabundance so it squishes out, but you do want to use enough glue to make sure it sticks. Okay, so now we're going to glue these two big pieces together. And line them up nicely. Okay, just like that. Make sure that they're stuck. Take your bone folder and make some nice crisp folds so you have this little accordion thing started. Okay, now the next thing you're going to do is you're going to take these pieces and we're actually going to fold them like this and like this. So we have this kind of a look, okay, kind of like a 7. All right, do the same thing to this one. Fold this, fold this. So we have the 7. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to glue these this way onto our flaps. So this flap here, not this in the center one, but this one here is where the glue goes. So we're going to glue our glue right onto there. I'm going to glue this piece right onto there. Line it up as best you can. And there's another thing about the liquid glue. It is forgiving. I mean, it kind of can smush it around for a little while. All right. And then we're going to glue this one on. Now, before we glue this one, we want to make sure that these meet in the center. This is important, that these meet in the center. Okay, so it looks pretty accurate here, I'm happy to say. So I'm going to go ahead, just double check that before you glue this on. And again, you're just going to do this last panel. You're not going to do that center panel. Even though this is bigger, it's okay. You're going to glue this right on. Okay. So just, again, make sure that this lines up in the center. And that's going to make your card work really perfectly. Okay, so now you have this. So you have extra panels, and this is what it's going to look like when you hold it this way, just so you can double check. So there was your 7. You're going to glue that on to that last panel, okay? Now you're going to take your frame and you're going to glue these together, okay? So put a little glue right in the center of each, all the way around, to make sure that this gives your frame a little substance, gives it a little thickness that it needs. I did cut these at the same time, so they should, I wanted them to line up perfectly. Okay. Looks good. And now I'm going to take these pieces, and what's going to happen is I'm going to glue this only to these little 1/2 inch scored areas. So I'm going to put glue right on that scored 1/2 inch. Nowhere else, just right there. And then hold this down. This is where you wish you had 3 hands, right? I'm going to hold this down. And you're going to smoosh it on the side, just like that. Get a little glue on your finger. It's okay, better on your finger than anywhere else. Okay. And basically, that is the mechanism of the card. Okay, and when you pull it, it opens. Okay. The idea is it lays flat, but that didn't exactly happen, which is okay, I guess. Kind of wanted it to lay a little flatter. This one actually did. I'm not sure why. No, not perfect. Doesn't lay exactly flat. So, all right, now you can decorate. Now, the little piece that came out of here, I'm going to take one of those. All right, and you're going to trim that down just a tiny bit. Okay, so I'm going to trim that down with my paper trimmer, just like, a very, very tiny bit. Maybe like not even a 1/16 of an inch on both sides. Okay. Then you want to go ahead and decorate that before you cut it in half. So, and remember, mine is not a perfect square. Well, I take that back. Yes, it is a perfect square, so that works. Either way I want to do it is fine. I was thinking it wasn't a perfect square. This is not the perfect square. Okay, so I decorated mine. I just said, have a holly jolly Christmas. And I used a little greenery. Okay, so I used Christmas to remember. Have a holly jolly Christmas. And then I used some greenery from Sweet Little Stockings. And I used real red and garden green because those are colors that are both in the Peaceful Prints Designer Series paper. And then I cut this in half. So I put it in my paper cutter and I measured and I got exactly a half, and then I glued it onto these panels. So 1/2 here and 1/2 here. And then that way, and you make sure it matches up perfectly in the center, like that. So even if it's in the center of a word, it still looks okay. Okay, and then I did go ahead and decorate my stockings, and I had them hanging over a little bit. And then on that stocking, I did decorate him, peace, joy, and kisses inside. Okay, so I did put some Designer Series paper on the panels. You can go crazy on this. And then if you want, you can put your paper on the back also. And that can be where you sign or write something. So I hope you enjoyed this card. It's a little complicated, but I thought it was worth the effort. And I think it's adorable when it's finished. So enjoy, and I will see you on Tuesday. Yes, thanks. Bye.